Imagine being told that your home, the place where you've built your life, is now worth a fraction of what you paid for it. Sounds impossible, right? Yet, across the UK, homeowners are facing exactly this nightmare. New laws are forcing people in 10 towns to sell their homes for a mere £15,000, an amount so low it barely covers moving costs. But why? What's happening in these towns that's pushing people out of their own homes at such a drastic loss? The truth is more shocking than you might think. These laws are not just about urban development or building new roads. They're uprooting entire communities and leaving homeowners in the dust. From Blackpool to Bradford, families are being forced to sell their properties for a pittance, and the government is offering little to no support. Stick with us, because we're diving deep into these shocking stories. You won't believe what's really going on. Number 1. Ashford. In Ashford, Kent, homeowners are waking up to a devastating reality. Their homes, once worth tens of thousands of pounds, are now being bought up for just £15,000. Why? The local government's push for major rail expansion has forced this drastic measure. With plans to improve connectivity and expand infrastructure, entire neighborhoods are being dismantled, leaving families with limited options. The authorities argue it's for the greater good, but for those who are losing their homes, it feels more like a punch in the gut. Ashford residents, many of whom have lived in these areas for generations, are now being given a fraction of their property's worth, forced to uproot their lives for a train station. The compensation is laughable compared to the emotional and financial impact this has on their future. This situation raises serious questions about fairness. The government and developers seem to care more about the bigger picture than the people who have built their lives here. And yet, for these homeowners, it's not just about money. It's about their communities, their schools, their memories. For many, selling for such a low price doesn't even cover the cost of relocating. How can they possibly start over with so little? This is the grim reality of life in Ashford right now, and it could soon be coming to other towns, leaving thousands of people in a similar situation. The tragedy in Ashford is a warning sign. It's happening now, and it's not just about infrastructure. It's about how the government can shift priorities and leave families out in the cold. If these changes are successful, who will be next? What towns could be next on the chopping block? We've put in a lot of effort to bring these stories to light. What do you think about Ashford's situation? Leave a comment below and tell us your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. One click is all it takes. Number 2. Blackpool. In Blackpool, a town once known for its lively seaside atmosphere, homeowners are facing an unexpected crisis. Large-scale plans to redevelop the area, which include building business hubs and new shopping centers, are forcing residents to sell their homes for a mere fraction of their value. Despite the promises of new jobs and increased investment, the people who've called Blackpool home for years are being told their properties are no longer needed. In exchange for the forced sale of their homes, they are being offered £15,000, a sum far from sufficient to start over elsewhere. The government claims these changes are vital for economic growth, but for many residents, the emotional toll is far greater than the financial benefit. With the focus on turning Blackpool into a modern, thriving center for business, the local government seems to have forgotten the people who have built the community. This redevelopment is pushing out long-term residents, some of whom are now left wondering if their futures even have a place in Blackpool's grand vision. £15,000 might sound like a lot to some, but for those who've invested their lives into their homes, this is nothing short of a crisis. How can a community thrive when its very foundation is being wiped away? This situation is not unique to Blackpool. It could happen in any town where redevelopment is prioritized over the well-being of the people who live there. If Blackpool's residents can't hold on to their homes, who's next? Will the government continue to roll out these laws in other towns, pushing out more homeowners for the sake of progress? This issue is raising uncomfortable questions about what really matters in these redevelopment projects, profit or people. We've worked hard to bring you the truth behind Blackpool's situation. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. It's just one click away. Number 3. Sheffield. In Sheffield, the heart of England's steel industry, The landscape is changing in ways many homeowners never saw coming. The government is pushing forward with plans to turn industrial zones into green spaces, aiming for a more sustainable and eco-friendly future. However, the cost of these ambitious projects is falling on the shoulders of homeowners. Entire neighborhoods are being wiped out, and residents are being offered £15,000 for properties that once held far more value. While the vision for a cleaner, greener Sheffield may sound appealing, it's the people who've lived in these communities for decades who are bearing the brunt. The low compensation offers are not only inadequate, but they also fail to account for the years of hard work and dedication these homeowners put into their properties. As Sheffield transitions into a modern, eco-conscious city, the question remains, at what cost? The redevelopment efforts have left longtime residents struggling to find a way forward. How can they rebuild their lives after being uprooted so abruptly? Sheffield's plan might sound like a step in the right direction for the city, but the individuals who are being forced out have no easy answers. The sad reality is that these families are not given the tools to recover from such a life-changing decision. Instead of being helped, they are being pushed aside in the name of progress. This is a situation that could have lasting consequences. If Sheffield's redevelopment succeeds, it could become a model for other cities across the UK. But the cost to homeowners is steep. Are we willing to trade the homes and stability of real people for a cleaner city and modern infrastructure? The debate has only just begun, and it raises serious questions about the value of individuals in a society that increasingly prioritizes development over personal well-being. What do you think about Sheffield's situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your opinion. And make sure to subscribe. It's just one click to stay informed. Number 4. Nottingham. In Nottingham, a city steeped in history and culture, homeowners are finding themselves caught in the crossfire of urban expansion. The government's plans to build new business hubs and retail spaces have led to entire neighborhoods being sold off, forcing families to pack up and leave. While the promise of more jobs and modern infrastructure might seem appealing on paper, the reality for homeowners is far more troubling. They are being offered a mere £15,000 for homes that, in some cases, are worth 10 times that amount. For families who have lived in Nottingham for generations, this isn't just about money. It's about the emotional upheaval of being displaced from the place they've called home for years. And with the money offered, most can't even afford to relocate, let alone rebuild their lives. These changes are a harsh reminder of the growing divide between the priorities of developers and the everyday people who live in these communities. The government's focus on creating a more commercially viable city often comes at the expense of the people who've invested their time, effort, and resources into these neighborhoods. The £15,000 is hardly a fair price for the homes being lost, and many residents are left feeling betrayed by the very system they believed was there to protect them. As Nottingham moves forward with its plans, the future for those affected seems uncertain. What's happening in Nottingham isn't just about urban planning. It's about how policies designed to boost the economy can sometimes leave behind the people they're meant to help. If this trend continues, how many more towns will suffer the same fate? Nottingham could just be the beginning of a much larger shift in the way urban developments are handled across the country. What do you think about Nottingham's situation? Do you believe these redevelopment projects are worth the cost? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. One click to stay updated. Number 5. Leicester. In Leicester, the government's ambitious plans to revitalize the city are forcing homeowners to face an impossible decision: sell their homes for a fraction of their worth or lose everything. As new business districts, shopping centers, and residential areas are being developed, entire neighborhoods are being demolished. The homes that many families have spent years building are being bought out for a mere £15,000, a sum that's nowhere near enough to replace their properties or provide for a fresh start. The push for modernization is aimed at improving the city's economy, but it's leaving long-term residents behind, uprooted without any real support. The compensation offered is barely enough to cover the moving costs, let alone the emotional and financial toll of losing their homes. The promise of a better future for Leicester might seem appealing to outsiders, but for those living in the affected areas, the reality is far different. These families aren't just losing their homes, They're being forced to leave the neighborhoods they've known for decades, the communities they've helped build. The government's plan is focused on progress, but who is being left out of this progress? The people who've invested their lives into Leicester are being overlooked, and the low compensation offers do nothing to address the hardship they are facing. What's happening in Leicester serves as a warning for other towns that may soon face similar pressures. If this kind of urban development continues unchecked, many more homeowners could find themselves in the same position, forced to sell their homes at rock-bottom prices, with no guarantee of fair compensation. The fight for fair treatment is just beginning, and Leicester's story could be the blueprint for what's to come across the UK. What's your take on Leicester's situation? Do you think it's worth it to sacrifice these communities for redevelopment? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Just one click to stay informed. Number 6. Middlesbrough. In Middlesbrough, the transformation of the town is coming at a steep price for homeowners. With plans for major redevelopment projects aimed at improving infrastructure and creating new commercial spaces, entire residential areas are being bought out. The catch: homeowners are being offered £15,000, far less than the market value of their homes, and certainly not enough to cover the costs of relocating and starting over. While these projects are designed to revitalize the area and attract new investment, it's the long-term residents who are paying the price. Many have lived in these neighborhoods for decades, and now they find themselves with little choice but to sell and leave. The idea behind the redevelopment in Middlesbrough is that new businesses and infrastructure will drive economic growth, creating jobs and attracting investment. However, the human cost is significant. The promise of progress seems to disregard the impact on families who have established their lives in these areas. For these residents, being told their homes are worth so little is a painful reminder of how the priorities of urban development often leave them behind. £15,000 doesn't even come close to compensating them for the years they've spent in their homes, building communities and raising families. Middlesbrough's situation highlights a growing issue across the UK. As towns and cities push for modernization, it's becoming increasingly common for development projects to displace homeowners at prices that don't reflect the true value of their properties. If this trend continues, it could mean the loss of countless neighborhoods and communities, leaving people with nothing but memories of what once was. What happens when development outweighs the needs of the people who live there? What do you think about Middlesbrough's redevelopment plan? Is the price too high for homeowners? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe. Just one click to keep up with all the latest updates. Number 7. Bolton. In Bolton, the push for urban renewal is tearing apart long-established communities. With large-scale plans to develop business hubs, new roads, and residential complexes, homeowners in certain areas are being forced to sell their properties for just £15,000, a sum that falls far short of the actual market value. For many, this is a devastating blow. They are being told their homes are no longer needed in the face of redevelopment, and the compensation offered does not come close to the true cost of their homes or the emotional toll of being displaced. While Bolton's government promises new economic opportunities and better infrastructure, it's the existing residents who are left grappling with uncertainty and a lack of support as they are pushed out of the neighborhoods they've known for years. As Bolton moves forward with its ambitious plans for modernization, it's clear that the long-term residents are being left behind in favor of new businesses and infrastructure. The promise of job creation and modernized public spaces might sound appealing, but the reality for many homeowners is much more difficult. They've invested in their homes, raised their families, and formed deep connections within their communities. Yet, these ties are being broken, and they're being offered only a tiny fraction of the value of their properties in return. £15,000 is an insult, and it's not nearly enough to replace the stability they've lost. Bolton's situation is a cautionary tale of what can happen when redevelopment projects focus too heavily on progress and profit, often overlooking the human cost. If the government can push homeowners out for such low prices here, it could easily spread to other towns. Are we really willing to sacrifice entire communities for the sake of development? What are your thoughts on Bolton's situation? Do you think redevelopment is worth it if it means displacing families? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. Just one click to stay updated. Number 8. Coventry. In Coventry, homeowners are facing an uncertain future as the city undergoes a dramatic transformation. With plans to expand public transportation, build new business districts, and create more green spaces, entire neighborhoods are being bought out. But here's the catch. Homeowners are being offered a mere £15,000 in return for their properties, a fraction of their true worth. While the city's modernization efforts promise a brighter, more sustainable future, they come at the expense of the people who've spent their lives in these neighborhoods. For many, the compensation is simply not enough to cover the cost of relocating, let alone start over elsewhere. What was once their home is now a mere piece of the city's puzzle, sacrificed for a vision that doesn't include them. The government's redevelopment plans in Coventry aim to make the city more eco-friendly and boost economic growth. But as the city transforms, those who have been the backbone of these communities are being pushed out. The promise of progress rings hollow when the people who have invested in the city for decades are given so little in return. For many, £15,000 is not just an inadequate sum. It's a painful reminder of how easily the government can prioritize infrastructure over the well-being of its citizens. Families who have spent years in Coventry now find themselves forced to leave without any real support or resources to rebuild their lives. Coventry's situation serves as a stark warning about the consequences of unchecked urban development. If the government can push out homeowners with little compensation here, who's next? The fight for fairness in these redevelopment projects is just beginning, and Coventry may be the first of many cities where the price of progress is the displacement of its people. What do you think about Coventry's redevelopment and the impact on its residents? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Just one click to stay informed. Number 9. Bradford. In Bradford, a city that's already seen its fair share of economic struggles, the government is rolling out plans for drastic urban regeneration. The aim is to revitalize the city with new business hubs, improved infrastructure, and residential developments. However, the cost of these grand plans is falling on the shoulders of homeowners. Entire neighborhoods are being targeted, with families being offered just £15,000 for homes they've spent years, sometimes decades, investing in. For these homeowners, the offer feels like a slap in the face. The money doesn't even begin to cover the real value of their properties, let alone the emotional toll of being forced to leave the places they've called home for so long. The city's plans might look good on paper, but for the residents of Bradford, the reality is far different. They are being displaced in the name of progress, pushed out for the sake of new developments that may bring jobs and investment, but will not replace the sense of community these families have built. The low compensation offers leave homeowners struggling to understand how their homes, which were once valued far higher, can suddenly be worth so little. £15,000 is nothing compared to the years of memories, relationships, and stability that are being taken away. Bradford's situation raises crucial questions about the balance between urban development and the rights of homeowners. If cities like Bradford can justify such low buyouts for their residents, it may set a precedent for similar practices in other towns and cities across the UK. How many more families will be pushed out in the name of development, and how much more will they be forced to lose? What are your thoughts on Bradford's redevelopment plans and the impact on homeowners? Share your opinion in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. Just one click to stay updated on these crucial issues. Number 10. Swindon. In Swindon, a town that's seen significant growth over the years, the latest redevelopment plans are shaking things up for homeowners. The government is pushing forward with plans to expand residential and commercial areas, modernize infrastructure, and create more business opportunities. However, homeowners in certain neighborhoods are being forced to sell their properties for a shockingly low sum, just £15,000. For those who have lived in Swindon for years, this is a devastating blow. The compensation doesn't even come close to the true value of their homes, and many are left struggling to find a way to rebuild their lives elsewhere. The promises of improved infrastructure and new opportunities don't bring much comfort when they are being told to leave their homes behind. The redevelopment of Swindon might bring long-term benefits to the town, but the immediate consequences for homeowners are hard to ignore. Entire communities are being torn apart, with little to no regard for the people who have lived there for decades. While the town is being transformed into a more modern, business-friendly location, it's at the cost of the families who've invested their time, money, and emotions into these homes. The £15,000 being offered is nowhere near enough to compensate for the loss of stability and the deep personal ties to their neighborhoods. Swindon's story serves as a stark reminder of the power imbalance between government projects and the lives of everyday citizens. If these types of low buyouts become the norm, it could change the landscape of urban development across the UK. How many more towns will find themselves facing this kind of displacement? And what will happen to the communities that are lost in the process? What do you think about Swindon's redevelopment and the impact on its homeowners? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. Just one click to stay updated. What's happening across these 10 towns is a real eye-opener. And it's not just about bricks and mortar. It's about the people whose lives are being upended. In places like Ashford, Blackpool, Sheffield, and Swindon, homeowners are being forced to sell their homes for a fraction of their worth, all in the name of development. While these projects promise growth, new infrastructure, and a brighter future, they come at an immense personal cost. Families are losing their homes, their communities, and their sense of stability, all for a sum that barely covers the cost of relocating. The low compensation offers being handed to homeowners, £15,000, seem almost insulting when you consider the years, even generations, of memories and hard work that these families have invested in their properties. These laws are making it easier for the government and developers to push forward with urban renewal. But at what cost? It's a troubling trend, and as these projects spread, more homeowners could find themselves in the same position, pushed out of the places they've loved for so long. The question remains, is this the future of urban development across the UK? Can we afford to let entire communities be uprooted for the sake of progress? It's time for a serious conversation about how much we value the people behind these homes and how much power developers and governments should have in deciding the fate of our communities. We've put a lot of effort into bringing you this story, and now we want to hear from you. What do you think about the situation in these towns? Are these redevelopment plans fair to homeowners, or is it a step too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, subscribe to our channel. It's just one click to support the hard work we put into making these videos.